real monster is man. Okay, now that all of the children are gone, let's have an actual discussion about Godzilla vs. Kong. No, readers, this isn't me giving in to the discourse of my fellow YouTubers and finally picking a side between Godzilla vs. Kong. I stand by the statement that picking a side in a movie that's clearly not going to let either of these monsters fall to the other is stupid, especially since we finally have confirmation that Mechagodzilla is involved and is more than likely the reason these two are fighting in the first place. As a matter of fact, Mechagodzilla's involvement kinda has a lot to do with why I'm making this video in the first place, if you think about it. Because while I enjoyed Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters as its own franchise, and is initially the light I first and foremost look at these two movies in, I tend to forget that they're actually part of this Monsterverse, even though it should be clearly called Kaijuniverse, that Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures are making for themselves. And just as importantly, the film Kong Skull Island is also part of said universe, with both franchises in this universe set to clash in the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong. So, since they gave one to Godzilla before leading up to his involvement in the film, how come Kong only has one film under his belt? Why doesn't he have a solo sequel leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong? Because Kong Skull Island has proven that he definitely deserved one. Now, before some of y'all start hooping and hollering, let me put it into one reason why people believe that Skull Island never got a sequel. Because no, it was not because of box office numbers. If we compare 2014's Godzilla to 2017's Kong Skull Island, number-wise, since they're both origin stories for the characters, some people would find them pretty surprising. Godzilla had a budget of $160 million, while Skull Island's was $25 million more, but neither movie cost more than $200 million. But despite him being more of the household name, what 2014's Godzilla made in the box office was almost $530 million, and Kong Skull Island's take home was just under $567 million. Almost $38 million more than Gareth Edwards' Godzilla. So if you do the math, the box office profit of Kong Skull Island surpassed the profit of Godzilla by almost $13 million worldwide. If we were going off of box office results alone, the at-the-time execs at Warner Brothers would have immediately seen the idea of greenlighting another solo Kong film as the no-brainer. I mean, of course, give both of them sequels. $369 million in box office profit is nothing to scoff at, even if Kong Skull Island made $13 million more. But the fact that only Godzilla got that follow-through with King of the Monsters, when Kong Skull Island not only proved that it deserved one, but is in desperate need of one in order to help flesh out his involvement in this Monsterverse, considering his importance, is a foolish decision that may come back to bite the studios, both of them, in the ass. What do I mean by that? Well, allow me to explain. Now, some would argue that the reason why we received a Godzilla sequel instead, outside of box office numbers, was because he has more of a mythos to pull stories from. He has other kaiju that are just as unique to his brand as characters like Robin, Commissioner Gordon, and Joker are to Batman, and you could easily pull from that well of pre-established creativity to create a follow-up story. And while Godzilla has that, Kong doesn't. He just has the original story written in 1933 by Edgar Wallace and Marion C. Cooper. But that's precisely the reason why he deserved a solo follow-up. Kong Skull Island clearly took liberties regarding how Wallace and Cooper's Skull Island is not only portrayed, but also in regards to introducing new monsters, kaiju, titans, whatever, that neither the 1933 original Kong, the 1976 Kong, or even Peter Jackson's Kong had. And it did so with the Skull Crawlers, an entirely new monster that's not only original to this version of King Kong, but is actually a part of his lore in this variant. And more of that creativity, exploration, and world building is deserving of Kong, just like it was of Godzilla when they used King of the Monsters to introduce his already established ally and villains into this universe. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Laurent, aren't all those aspects of King Kong going to be explored in Godzilla vs. Kong? Well, readers, I'm pretty sure the common sense answer is yes. Yes, they will be. They're going to explore the origin of the Titans, how the Hollow Earth theory is going to play a part into the existence of Titans as a whole, and Kong's existence in general, considering he's the last of his kind. But by dedicating so much focus on Kong in what's basically the equivalent of an event film in this universe, takes away from the actual main event and the eventual team-up. I'm not saying Godzilla vs. Kong can't be about Kong, but having a follow-up that explores at least 30% of the things GVK is going to explore taking place before it not only opens up a lot more room in the movie we're eventually going to get, but it also gives us a better chance to connect with Kong and absorb this new mythos we're establishing for him if we had a solo follow-up before it. Because outside of what we learned about him in the first Skull Island, we have nothing to go on outside of the fact that he's grown to be Godzilla's size over the course of 50 years. He's clearly had adventures of his own, learned to connect with Skull Island natives, and even encountered other non-native humans from Monarch over the course of the time between this movie and the team-up. So why can't those adventures and the discoveries unearthed from them factor into what the story of Godzilla vs. Kong is trying to tell without trying to shoehorn them in a movie that may not be able to hold it all? Because unlike Godzilla, who has years of Toho-produced characters to pull from and establish in this American Monsterverse, we have nothing to go on with Kong, and trying to use the event film where he fights Godzilla in order to tell the story of the journey he clearly should have gone on beforehand is only going to diminish the main reason for the event film in the first place. And that's the same mistake Batman v Superman made back in 2016. Because there was no solo follow-up for Man of Steel, and Superman's next appearance following it was an event film, the dedicated Superman narrative felt rushed and ill-paced because we had his bout and interactions with Batman to get to. The plot of Lex trying to prove that if God is all-powerful, then he cannot be all good, by trying to show the world that they shouldn't put their trust in Supes and instead in him, is a brilliant hook for a follow-up to Man of Steel, considering how it ended. Because with that, you're establishing how Superman reacts and handles situations Lex would throw at him in this new universe, seeing how his actions impact those people while disheartening others. Then said discourse caused by Lex's initial division attracts the attention of Bruce to make Dawn of Justice be its own thing, an actual event. Dawn of Justice tried to fit in that, Bruce's want to destroy Supes, Diana's subplot, and the Trinity fight with Doomsday, when all it would have taken to make it the spectacle it was initially meant to be was just give Man of Steel sequel that focused on Lex turning the people of Earth against Superman first. I truly believe that if Kong Skull Island also had a follow-up like Godzilla did to explore more about the machinations of Skull Island, give Kong his own King Ghidorah, give him something new to discover about himself and this species of Titan that he belongs to, and maybe even dabble a bit more into the Hollow Earth stuff, like when Serizawa's team found out about the ancient sunken civilization that worshipped Godzilla when they went to feed him an atomic bomb. Not only would it establish so much more about the lore of this version of Kong, but it would free Godzilla vs. Kong to be what it truly is, an event film. There! I've done it! I've made yet another video that doesn't feed into the juvenile-ass Team Godzilla Team Kong Discord. Now for my next trick, I'll explain why everyone who likes Namor, even those who are just thirsty for him, are wrong. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below if you think we should have gotten a Skull Island 2 before Godzilla vs. Kong. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class what you would have liked to have seen in a hypothetical Skull Island sequel set before the big bout. Whichever one you decide to answer, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.